Hiya, we're teaching Tilt Brush, and today we're going to look at the guides, how to paint even if you're not got the perfect steady hand. So things like perfect circles, or if I want to paint graffiti on a wall, freehand, it's hard to make things line up perfectly. You can see how things are just a little bit out of line. So guides help you make a perfect shape, a perfect plane for painting and making what you want to do. So this is going to be using our controller. We're specifically going to be using the advanced controls. The beginner mode doesn't have all the same pieces, so we're going to be using advanced mode, and the one we're looking at is right here in the corner called guides. So this guide, when I click on him, it creates this separate little panel. Clicking in the panel creates a separate guide. So this is the first time we're actually getting tools and controls off of the controller. Undo will undo stuff you do with the guides. So here's the panel, and clicking on any of those choices is how you choose which guide you want. Now we can move these things around. If you watch my controller, when I touch it, so it goes inside the controller, it adds a little bit of a glow to the controller. It's hard to tell because of the overlap here. But you can see how it gets that extra little blue outline. If you grip, if you squeeze with your hand, you can move this thing around. Same with this panel. If we watch when my hand touches it, see how it gets that little extra highlight. Now what's interesting is you have to be looking at it with your headset for it to work. So I can't be accidentally touching it while I'm over here. If I'm looking at it, it gets that extra outline. I can grip and move the whole panel around. So I can set it up over here and then move this over here. I'm going to get up close to the camera for a moment. So now I've got the circle of the paintbrush. If I paint normally, it's going everywhere. But when I get close to that circle, see how it snaps to the circle? The moment it touches, if I squeeze the trigger, even if I'm sloppy, my paintbrush is stuck to that guide until I let go. So when I move the world, you can see it is a blue sphere. I'm now going to reach in and grab the guide. I got to be looking at it. There we go. Sphere, other sphere. So I could take this sphere, paint on it with one color, switch to a different, maybe a brown thick oil paint. So I can paint continents on this little planet here. And then go to a white clouds. A little too big there. There we go, we'll get some cloud action going. Maybe a little too much cloud action going, but you can see all of my brushes are stuck to that guide. I can now reach in and move that guide somewhere else. You'll notice the guide moves with the rest of the world. The control panel does not. The control panel stays in reference to you, the headset, the artist. So I could be moving around in my world and still be placing new guides wherever I happen to need them. Work me here. There we go. Panel versus the guides themselves. If you don't need it anymore, I don't need two, or I don't need the panel anymore, when you grab hold of it, to get rid of it, it's a throwing action, like a frisbee. Watch this. And it's gone. Grab this one. And it's gone. Grab this guy. Oops. And it's gone. So with these both panels and the guides themselves, moving them around is just grabbing them, and then flick throws them away. So I can get my panels back. Sphere. So we can move them, we can get rid of them. We've seen how with both grips we can make the world bigger and smaller. If I'm holding it in one hand and I get the other hand in there and grip, I can make the sphere, the guide, bigger and smaller. Not the whole world bigger and smaller, but grab in one hand, grab in the other hand, stretch or squish to make bigger or smaller guides. It's a little tricky when you're first getting used to it, but now I can make a really big sphere, put it over here. Let's grab a different brush. And now I'm going to be stuck to painting on that giant sphere. Even if I'm a little messy myself, it stays on that sphere. So I could grab it, make it small, paint a bowl type of suggestion. Painting on the inside of the sphere works just as well as painting on the outside. Guides, whoop, don't need them anymore. Guides are also part of your undo. So as I right click, you can see the sphere itself moves around into the positions I was using. So all of this is stored as part of your art. We don't need you anymore. I'm just going to clear the whole thing. So clear does delete the guides. Again, not the panel, that's part of you, the artist, but any pieces you've set up. So we've looked at spheres, now we're going to look at cubes. And as you guessed it, it's a cube. And again, your brush will stick to it and only paint on that side of the cube. Or I can come at it from the inside and paint on that side of the cube. Just like the sphere, I can use two hands to make it a big sphere or a tiny sphere. Now with cubes, if I touch one panel, see how the opposite panel highlights? It's hard to see on the screen, but if I grab the other face, not only can I make the whole thing bigger and smaller, but you can distort it. Here we go with our accordion. But you can distort these guides. So if I wanted to make a skyscraper, now I've got this tall rectangle that my guide, my brush, is going to be stuck to. I can reach in and move it, change its size to make other buildings in this city. Or even if I'm careful, grab either end and make different sized buildings. There we go, stretch it out for a tall, skinny building. So these are guides. Cube doesn't have to stay a cube. Cube can also be any rectangular shape, pizza box, big wall. This is how I could make an actual wall for a building. Grab this guy, set him up over here. Now I'm going to switch to my spray paint graffiti type of thing, and whatever color I want, that is not stuck on the guide. There. Now it's stuck to the guide. So look for that little snap. That's how you know. Now we switch to a different color. Graffiti on the same wall, on the same plane. I can now, when I'm done, grab that, throw it away, and I have the wall art. Give yourself a canvas if you really need. Cube guide. The third and final guide is usually referred to as pill because of the shape. It looks sort of like a lozenge or a pill you might swallow, that type of thing. Just as the other pieces, I can use that, move it around, make the whole thing bigger, make the whole thing smaller, or I could grab the end caps and stretch it out like a tube. Anytime you paint, as long as your brush clicks, now no matter what I paint, it's going to be stuck, or maybe I'll do spiral down it, that type of thing. Using the guide to control your brush. Guide, done with a guide. Panel, done with a panel. So that's using guides, the little three shapes, to set up, especially useful if I'm doing flat surfaces, cities, if I need a perfect sphere for doing planets or eyeballs, that type of thing. Guides and panels. Have fun with those. See how much you can use them to build shapes and build up other types of things. Guides have only been in for a little while, and they are useful in a great deal of situations. They are something you can undo, that type of thing. So if you accidentally put it in the wrong place, that type of thing, they are part of your universe. We'll be doing more with guides and things in one of the advanced classes, but for now, that should be enough to play with. I spelled it wrong again. There's a C. In any case, you know what I'm talking about. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in another class. Have fun while I'm teaching tilt brush.